At this critical moment, the power supply has turned from the ground to the vehicle itself using the storage batteries.
Did we hear a T-minus 50 seconds call out? Really getting closer. And it's said that, well, 40 seconds. The aero must be controlled within 1 second for the manual ignition. And they have developed over 300 backup measures. We're less than 30 seconds away. If you're just joining us, you're watching special coverage of the Tianzhou-7 mission launch at the Wenchang satellite launch site in Hainan province.
10, 9, 8,
Final countdown, let's watch.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 点火.
Ignition. You see it pressing the button.
Okay, lift off.
Just spectacular.
So we view from the launch pad. Okay, the tower is clear. So the first operation will be the pitch over, which means that the flight direction will change from a vertical one to eastward.
You're also going to be hear voices from the launch team providing different tracking status, saying things are good. You can hear them right now. That's the stat we'd like to hear. There you have it, the heavenly boat shipping away from its spaceport to the destination, the Heavenly Palace.
We can hear the voice of the ground team reporting the status, as you mentioned.
Absolutely.
The tracking the trajectory, and also the status of the every critical subsystems on board the vehicle.
Yeah, the trajectory is closely monitored by different ground tracking stations.
You can see that there were, actually speaking, there were 6 engines, 4 on the boosters and 2 on the core stage.
And we're going to see several major movements in just a few
So this is a video
seconds.
from the camera mounted on the vehicle itself.
Right, and that's the side boosters, right?
Yeah, we can see 2 of the 4 boosters. Because it is at night, so we can only see the shadows of the booster and but the bright flames.
Right, and the camera is positioned right above the side boosters on the body of the main core.
Yeah.
So we're looking down at the tail of the rocket.
So the 4 boosters will work for more than 2 minutes, and
that's the infrared image.
So at this moment, it's already flying southeastward, and after 2 minutes, the critical point will be the separation of the 4 boosters. So the infrared video is also very clear.
So by now it has completed the pitch over already.
It's already.
Okay.
You may notice that the direction is not vertical.
Right.
Vertically. Okay.
We're standing by for booster separation, a very critical step.
We just heard the voice reporting that some of the ground stations tracking normally. But with different camera, we can see that the flame in a different color. So it's flying just above the Pacific Ocean.
And it's about 10-minute flight, right? The flight
also, it's about 10 minutes also. So it's close to the separation of the 4. You may notice that the flame is already in a different shape because, oh great, the booster shut down and separated.
Right.
Great.
That's a successful separation.
So the next
We're
will be
looking at
the
4 dots. Those are the side boosters.
And this moment, the first stage is already separated.
There you have it.
Okay, it's very clear.
First stage separation.
Okay, the ignition of the second stage also goes very smoothly. The second stage use 4 rocket engines called YF-115 rocket engines. So
what are we seeing now, Professor?
So this is a camera mounted inside the payload fairing. We can see just it's looking forward, and okay, the separation of the payload fairing is jettisoned.
So roughly 4 minutes into the flight, we have seen fairing separation.
And now only the second stage of the launch vehicle remains, and it will work much longer than the first stage because it's already in a vacuum condition.
Right,
and
we're already
thrust,
in space.
Exactly.
Right.
So you know that after the okay, the tracking is normal. We can see that on the left of the screen is the camera mounted forward. We can see the 2 of the 4 rocket engines.
And you were saying because we're already in space, you don't need the fairing protection.
Yes, so they do not have much strong airflow. So we do not need that. Exactly.
So the next step,
So the next step will be the shutdown of 2 fixed engines. Because you know that for the 4 engines on the second stage, 2 of the engines are fixed, and the other can have rotations to change its directions. So we will first shut down the 2 fixed engines, and then with a very precise adjustment, we shut down the other 2 engines.
So we are about 300 seconds, a little over 5 minutes into the flight. Can we say the most dangerous part of the flight is over?
Quite right. The most dangerous part happens during the separation of different stages. So especially in the atmosphere, because there are very strong aerodynamic forces, it will be a little bit dangerous.
And we can hear status from different teams. This is a huge group effort, obviously, right? How many teams are working on it? Roughly how many people would work for a project like this to make it happen?
Let's count about that. Yes, the launch site system, the launch vehicle system, the Tianzhou spacecraft system, the TT&C system, and also the astronaut system. The astronaut system prepare for the cargoes inside, and also you know that's the Tiangong or the space station system also must attend this job. So at least there are 6 or 7 systems attend this mission.
Wow! And do we know how many people roughly? Hundreds?
I don't know because each mission is different. Maybe also, you know, during every of our flight mission, there are also backup crew members. For a certain function, we not only have the certain person, but we also have some backup people.
And we're still looking at the image of the first,
video mounted on the second stage. So only the second stage remained. And you can see that 2 nozzles of the attitude control engines of the Tianzhou spacecraft.
And as the Tianzhou-7 is heading to the space station, is the Tianzhou-6 cargo craft still docked with the station?
It's already separated. It's already detached from the Tiangong space station, and it will deorbiting soon, maybe in the coming months.
Is it true that the Tianzhou-6 could also be used to carry some waste away from the station?
Already so much waste inside. It is a rubbish bin for our Shenzhou crew.
So it'll be the same for Tianzhou-7 when it completes its mission.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of the mission.
Not only for Shenzhou-17, but also for Shenzhou-18 crew. So they will put their rubbish inside. So you can see that on the right is the 2 of the 4 engines of the second stage is still working. Maybe after several seconds, you can see that one of them will shut down because that's the fixed engine.
Okay. Of course, there are numerous cameras on this vehicle, and they have light on it to eliminate the rocket.
That's a good measure to monitor the status of the launch vehicle.
Yeah, so that you
very useful and helpful. Because today, thanks to the development of electronics, we can have this high-definition video, and with only a very small camera, we can achieve that.
So the next
文昌雷达功正常，遥测向正常，文昌飞行正常。西沙313跟踪正常。
We're almost heading to 500 seconds into the flight. The next major move is the second stage shutdown and the separation of the spacecraft.
Yeah.
西沙424跟踪正常。
What will be the most difficult part for the next stage of the flight?
So after separation of the spacecraft, there will be the extension of the solar panels. Because it is a movable mechanism, so it is very complex, and that is a critical step.
Do we know what kind of science payloads it's carrying with it?
Well, we just need to wait for the formal announcement from the China Manned Space Agency. And as your colleagues have already introduced, Mr. Zheng Yibing has already mentioned about maybe some bones will be studied inside our Tiangong Space Station. Very, very meaningful study. Not only, as mentioned by the scientists, not only prepared for astronauts, but also for old peoples on the ground.
Yeah. And for the Shenzhou-7 crew, finding an item during, while the Shenzhou-7 is docked with Tiangong Station will be quite a challenge if things are not well managed, right? I understand they have used a color-coded system. Different packages have different colors.
Okay, the fixed engines, as I mentioned, one of the fixed engines, you can see that already shut down. So the vernier engine can work longer to adjust the trajectory very precisely and then shut down.
Okay.
So it's close to the end of the flight of the... Great.
An engine shut down.
Separated.
Oh, there you have it, the spacecraft separation. A warm round of applause there.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's the launch team.
Yeah. We just wait for the big red screen.
Yeah. Well, for the launch team, it's a successful launch so far, but for the team in Beijing, who's in charge of the whole mission, especially for the spacecraft flight, it's only beginning.
The control will change from the launch site to the Beijing Aerospace Control Center. And at this moment, after unfolding of the solar panels, we will measure and verify the orbital parameters very carefully and very precisely. And only when the orbital parameters we measured is precise enough and within the margin of what we allow the tolerance, we can announce that it is a successful launch.
And Professor, looking at this is the animation of the Tianzhou-7 spacecraft, right? Talk to us about the spacecraft.
Of this spacecraft. On the front is a cargo bay. The cargo bay can contain about 6.7 tons of pressurized payload. Great, we can hear the voice of the ground team that send the orbital parameters. And inside that is the pressurized cargoes. And on the rear part, you can see what we call the resource module. And it has two unfoldable solar panels, also have multiple rocket engines. So there are 4 fuel tanks inside, and it provides the electric power and also propulsion. So it is a 2-module design.
2-module, and the solar panels are attached to the service module.
Yes,
on
or the resource module.
left-hand side.
Yeah.
The next major step, we are waiting for the solar panel deployment. Am I right?
Yes. The unfolding of the solar panels will be a very important step, which means that we can have continuous power supply to the spacecraft. This is, as you mentioned, it is a 3D animation, but it is based on the real telemetry data, which means that it can represent the real circumstance of the spacecraft, the position, the attitude, and also other status. Great, unfolded.
All right, a successful solar panel deployment.
Yep.
We're roughly 13 minutes into the flight.
Because you know that at this moment, the Tianzhou-7 is still in the shadow of the Earth, so we cannot see any video from, although we can get the video.
Another round of applause there. Some relief now for the ground team. A very smooth launch. Now, I guess the ground team would do some calculation. The spacecraft will have some adjustment burns to better position itself for to dock with Tiangong.
Yeah. Only when we confirm that the orbital parameters is accurate enough, only under these circumstances, we have the chance to rendezvous and dock with Tiangong Space Station. So that's very important. The front docking port. Because you know that this moment only one spacecraft is attached to the Tiangong Space Station, and maybe after 3 hours we will have the coming of our Tianzhou-7. So at that moment there will be 5 spacecraft attached together.
We are 1100 seconds. That's about 20 minutes into the flight. If you're just joining us, you're watching our special coverage of the launch of Tianzhou-7 mission into the space. You're watching the Tianzhou-7 spacecraft flying in space now, heading toward the Tiangong space station. We're standing by for a major announcement of the results of this mission.
Because that the launch happened at 10:30 p.m. So just after launch, that this is about 20 minutes after launch. So still, that the spacecraft is orbiting the Earth in the shadow. So although that